Ringside with Dale Bliss, Auction Zoo. We're here today. Listen, he's got this wonderful sweatshirt on. Proud to be an Oregon man, an Oregon Ducks man.
Go Ducks!
Go Ducks. Now, I wanted to start off with Kenyan Sadiq, a 4.3940, the fastest ever at the NFL Combine. Vernon Davis, 2003, had run a 4.4.
Yeah.
Did you even see this? Did you see this? Did you see him running that fast?
I knew he was a physical freak. I mean, the guy has attributes like that just make coaches salivate. I mean, it wasn't just the 4.3940. I think he did like 11 foot 5 inches in the broad jump,
11.1, which was
11.1.
second, and then a 43. What did he do? A 43.5 on the vertical.
Yeah,
He's 6'3", 241, a 4.39 at 241.
yeah, and JD, if you look at his highlight tape, I mean, he makes some plays and some catches, passes down the seam, that are just amazing. The Ducks really didn't use him enough.
Yes.
Will Stein's famous saying is feed the studs, get the ball to the playmakers, let them cook. And you look at the numbers, they're good, but man, you have a weapon like that. Why not get him the ball 60, 70 times in a season and get 1,000 yards?
Right.
He was in and out of the lineup, hurt a little bit, which held him back. But there are about 4 games where he is utterly sensational, where he's just an unstoppable force on the field. And if he gets in the right system with the right coach and quarterback, he's going to have an amazing NFL career.
So I read something today. Jason Reed, which I think this is a little weird. I don't know how you feel about this. Number 13 to the Rams, who just got Terrence Ferguson last year. And they also have, and they have 2 other guys. What's his name? I see his face, but they have three tight ends. I thought, now he's not going to last, but imagine him on the Eagles. I'm thinking about teams that are close enough to doing something. Yeah. Where would you like to see him go? Like you said, where would you, even San Francisco with Kittle getting older? Good God. Can you imagine?
Make a lot of sense because I don't know how to say his name correctly. Goddard.
Yeah, Goddard. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's nearing the end, and I think he's up for a contract extension or something. It's they need to find a replacement for him, so he fits well there, and I think he fits the culture there. The Eagles have a culture that's a little bit like Oregon's, but emphasis on team play and working hard and doing your preparation. Emotionally, I would love to see him end up with the Chargers. I don't think they have anywhere near that dynamic a weapon at tight end. And, I love the way Herbert throws the football. It would be fun to watch him play in that offense. But the Chargers need to rebuild their offensive line. They have a lot of priorities, but that would be a fun place for him to wind up.
Yeah, but I just don't see. I don't know. I feel like someone will take a shot at him. The Raiders aren't going to. The Chiefs, what? That's also but I don't think they're going to draft him that high because I heard they're going to go after Love. But can you imagine Mahomes and Sadiq, him having thrown him the ball? I mean, I'd be like, oh yeah.
God. He'd be like Kittle version 2.0. Another thing that's underappreciated about Sadiq is he's a really good blocker. I mean, he sprung a lot of Oregon's biggest plays by blocking at the point of attack. He's very persistent and dogging and does the work as a blocker. And I think whichever fan base is lucky enough to get him will be impressed with his overall game and his willingness to do the dirty work.
Yes. And then he has a hell of a. Also, he was second in the broad jump, second in the vertical, and he did 26 reps, which was second in tight ends, And then Thieneman did he put up some crazy. What he finished? What did I see? Top 4 in his 40 time. Yeah. What did I see? Yeah, he did 4.35.
Yeah.
Yeah, a 41 vertical and led all safeties with 18 reps on the bench. So he goes to Purdue, where brothers have played, comes to Oregon, and just they said he showed up at the facility at 5:30, where guys joked about. He's wired differently. I like that. I look at a guy like him. I'm foaming at the mouth to get him on my team, and Reed had him going 16. The Cowboys trade up to get him at 16, and that would be a nice addition to them because their defense sucks. So that's another guy who go first round of those. Right?
He likely will. I think he'll go in the top 15 or so.
Right.
It's a classic white men can't jump sort of story. I mean, here's a guy with all these, he's kind of a freckle-faced white guy, but you see him out there and he's turning in numbers, as you said, impressive, vertical and speed and strength, and he's a worker. He's the youngest of 3 sons. His 2 older brothers played at Purdue as walk-on safeties and carved out a nice college career for themselves. But from the time he was in elementary school, the older brothers kind of took him under his wing and devised all kinds of games. They played this thing they called the punt return game, where they kick in the ball and he had to try and gain a yard against his brothers, who were 7 and 8 years older, and they never took it easy on him. They'd hit him, and the idea was he had to stay in there, be tough, and not cry. And by the time he was in junior high, they gave him a typewritten 2-page workout. He was doing, body weight squats and agility drills and all kinds of things to develop as an athlete from the time he was in 7th grade. And he took it really seriously. He's a very driven guy. He asked his mom for chicken and pasta. That was his standard meal. Just really was laser focused on becoming a great athlete and did it. He ran in the 4.5s as a high school senior. So to improve by a second and a half in the 40 in college, most of it at Oregon under Wilson Love, their strength and conditioning coach, that was impressive.
He seems like, when I hear a guy that gets in the facility at 5:30, that alarm goes off and you want to hit snooze. There's no way you wake up and are like, oh, you know what? I'm really raring to go. And he probably was chomping at the bit to get into the facility. And because he looks at that like, hey, listen, this is my career. I'm given an opportunity. I listened to a podcast. Want to tell you this, Dale. The guy talked to Bo Jackson. He said, Bo, when did you know you were something special? How old do you think Bo Jackson, with the age he told when he thought something special happened? Like when he knew he was different, like he knew he was gifted.
5 years old.
He's 9. So check this out. This is the craziest part of the story. He's playing in an industrial baseball league with 20-year-olds. And at 9, he threw at a guy at second from his knees, hit a home run. And then after the game, the other team's coach said, I'll buy you a 10-speed bike if you switch. And his coach and that coach, it led to a little animosity and maybe some fisticuffs. At 9 years old, he was playing with 20-year-olds and throwing guys out and in their home runs. Could you imagine? I was talking to my friend, his son's 12. I go, could you imagine? And my other friend, his son's 10. I go, could you imagine watching your kid at 9 and being like, that's not normal. That's just not normal. I mean, yeah, it just.
Now, JV, are we talking about Bo Jackson the older or Bo Jackson the current Ohio State tailback?
No, we're talking about. Yes, no, we're talking about the Bo. To me, the only Bo Jackson is Bo Jackson, the Heisman. Right. So that's what he said. Yeah. Bo Jackson is a nice running back, but he's no Bo Jackson. That guy, he was so short a career. But that's Dylan. Is it Thieneman, right? Is that how you say his last name, Thieneman?
I believe so.
I mean, this is a guy who was. I loved him. He's a 3-star recruit. The guys take that as a chip. guys will take that, and that is a motivation. Oh, I'm a 3-star, and they said when he came to Purdue, bam, he took off first game against Fresno State, and he never let up. And it just got tired of losing. He goes to Oregon, and he just turns it up even another notch. So, listen, I would love him on my team. I would love the Jets to go after him because they need defense, and he probably won't go there. But so that seems like the only two guys who go in first round from your Pregnon could go second, third round. You think?
He might go in the first. He turned in some good numbers. He had a vertical jump of 35 inches, so he's incredibly explosive, and his tape is great. And I have read, some of the draft experts have said that the offensive line class is really good at the top, but thins out quickly. So there may be a rush in the first round on offensive linemen, particularly at tackle. Now, Pregnon's a guard, but some of those elite guys, are in short supply, and everybody needs them. The Chargers certainly do.
And Whittington had second most reps. I'm sorry, had the most reps, second most reps for a running back, 24. That's a strong kid.
Yeah.
And the guy, this is what I was talking to somebody about, my friend HCJ. What's it, Bryce Botcher? Right, Bryce?
Betcher. Betcher. I think that's the official pronunciations. Betcher. Yeah.
I find it interesting when we talk about the explosiveness. There's just some guys who are always around the ball. Like they make the tackle. And in the football, I'd rather have a guy who I know maybe he doesn't vertically, like, we were talking about the running back, the linebacker from the Ravens, and I'm blanking on his name now. The one who won the Super Bowl MVP that year back in 2000 when they did a great, and they won another one. But he wasn't a guy that was like explosive. I'm thinking Marvin Lewis, but it's not Marvin Lewis. I'm terrible that I'm blanking on names of players. He played at the U. Remember, he got in trouble at that Super Bowl with the shooting. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
Oh, the all-time guy.
Yeah.
The shooting at the Super Bowl was a weird thing.
Right. Yes. So I'm embarrassed that I can't remember names, but that's what I feel about Bryce. I feel like Bryce is the kind of guy who always makes plays, and maybe you won't go after him high, but that's a guy you get the fourth or fifth round. That could be the guy that you build around.
Yeah, he's got a doggedness about him. Ray Lewis, by the way,
right? Yes.
I
God.
I googled it, and I succumbed to AI, but some guys make it because of extreme giftedness. The Bo Jacksons, the ones who realize by the time they're children that they're just faster and wired differently than their peers, and can do things that normal kids can't do. Anthony Q. Newman, the Oregon grade who played 12 years in the NFL with the Raiders and Saints, he was like that. A good friend of mine was a friend of his family growing up, and Anthony, was playing at the schoolyard and realized, wow, I'm faster than these guys. I can do more than they do. And that giftedness stayed with him. Other guys peak early and peter out. But then there's the other kind of guy who makes a career for himself. And that's the one who's just that, persistent and an overachiever and just will not be denied and is always there. And Betcher maybe falls a little bit into the second category, although he was a great athlete in high school. I mean, he played quarterback and safety on the football team, drafted by the Astros in baseball. So he's a sneaky good athlete. At Oregon, he and Thieneman had a thing. They made up T-shirts. They called themselves the Caucasian Collision Unit.
And, see, that's a great name.
Oh yeah, it was. And Dante Moore, the quarterback, said, "Yeah, I want one of those." That was good. It was fun. But he's just one of those guys. He's another one of those 5 a.m. workout, in the cold tub, doing whatever it takes. And I think that mentality will follow him to the NFL. I don't know if he'll ever be a Hall of Famer, but he'll be solid for somebody.
He'll be solid. I agree. I agree. And so that was what I wanted to start off with, was talking about those guys, because I mean, Sadiq, I'm so excited to see him play at the next level. And Thieneman, I'm definitely going to follow. The draft is Pittsburgh, April 23rd through 25th. And then so then I went through the depth chart, because I was like, I have you on now. How do you feel now? You've lost some players, but that's what I wanted to ask you about. Your tight ends. You got Jameer Johnson from Louisville. You have Andrew Olish from Penn State, who was a 5-star out of high school, and then you have this kid Kendra Harrison from North Carolina. He played on both sides of the ball. You have those are your 3 tight ends.
And
so,
J.D. Harrison, by the way, was a college prospect as a basketball player, a 20-point, 20 rebound a night type of guy.
wow.
He's about 6'6", 250. Huge hands, big frame. So that basketball, football tight end background. You think of a lot of guys who've gone that route and become great players.
Right.
Yeah. So he's rangy and athletic, and he just oozes confidence. A 5-star player. It'll be fun to see how he develops. Jamari Johnson, he's so far he's shown himself to be more of a receiving tight end than a blocking tight end. He's made some sensational plays for the Ducks receiving the football. Scored their first touchdown in the Peach Bowl against Indiana. Made a incredible one-handed catch down the seam against James Madison in their first playoff game. So getting a chance to be the guy and the number 1 tight end, watch out for Johnson in terms of, maybe breaking Sadiq's receiving record for the most. He set a record last year for the most receptions by an Oregon tight end. So
Now,
yeah.
So and now, how do you feel about? So you get the new OC. You got Drew Meringer, you got Chris Hampton on the new DC for the defense. How do you feel about that's a change? Maybe it's not bad. I mean, it's going to happen when you have success. You're going to lose guys. But I went through your offense there, Dale, and I'll tell you, your running backs, Jordan Davison, De'Aaron Hill Jr. and DeJuan Riggs, I'm feeling pretty good about you having 3 guys to get the ball to. I mean, they have all with different attributes, right? I mean, they're all doing different things, different strengths.
Yeah. Jordan Davison is more of a power back. He's a guy who can bust tackles and get hard yards, and has a little bit of burst and wiggle to him, but he's definitely a guy who can get it done between the tackles. De'Aaron Hill is more the lightning guy. He had a 72-yard run against the Hoosiers. Several big runs over the year. Very explosive. I think he averaged close to 8 yards a carry. So you get those 2 together, that's a great tandem. Big question, however, is the offensive line in front of them. They're replacing 3 guys and both tackles. So that's got to come together. There's definitely some talent in the group, and Alik Terry's done a good job of developing those guys, but now they're taking over. Fox Crater, Janoris Wilson, maybe their 5-star freshman, Emmanuel Ihanacho. I mean, that guy's a beast, like 6'7", 340. Just a huge talented guy. Made all the All-Star games and
do you
played
think
very
he'll
well.
get? I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you think he'll get? Do you think Hanako will get a lot of playing time as a freshman right now? Now this was on. I saw this on our lads. They have him as the 3rd on the depth chart behind Crater and Addison. But usually the cream comes to the top. So I would think you'll see once you start playing games.
To watch out of spring practice. Although Dan Lanning is a little bit frustrating for writers and fans in that he's from the Nick Saban school, plays it very close to the vest. If you ask him any question about the depth chart, or who's emerging at right tackle, he'll say something like, "Yeah, we got good competition out there. Those guys are working hard. We feel they're developing well." And you'll get no more specific than that. You'll either evade the question or get very general in his answers. I think Ihanacho has a chance to play right away. He's got the he can do like a 650-pound squat. He's
Oof.
incredibly powerful, high school basketball player. So he'll compete to play early. He's very, very talented, 5-star tackle. Wilson, Crater, and Addison, are all athletic 4-star kids. But the sorting that out on the offensive line, super critical for this Stuck team. Incredible amount of talent at the skill positions if the line gels the way they need to.
That's what I wanted to ask you, because it does look like there's a lot of sophomores I see here, redshirt sophomores. Another one they're talking about. Who else is another one? Andrew. Oh wait, that's a tight end. Michael Bennett is a redshirt senior transfer, right? He's on? That's a guy
from Yale, and he 2-time All Ivy League as a tackle, and committed like one penalty all season last year. Allowed 2 sacks all year. So he's very solid, technically sound, obviously intelligent. He's a Yale guy, for God's
right,
sake.
right.
Um, so it'll be interesting to see how well he makes the transition from the Ivy League to the Big Ten. They had a very successful experience a couple of years back with the Johnny Cornelius, who came from Rhode Island, I believe. So it's something they've done before. He's at least a rotational player. One thing that helps them, JD, is they have 2 guys coming back to solidify the thing in Iapani Lalaulu at center, who's the anchor and the glue. Ducks have been very good on the road as a team because they have great communication when the building gets loud. Think of them at the whiteout at Penn State or at Iowa last year. The offensive line hung together and didn't really have a lot of illegal procedure penalties or any of that nagging stuff you expect in a big, loud game on the road.
Okay. So these are all positives. But like you said, you got to protect the quarterback and you have to, get to the quarterback. Now you did bring back who came back on the defense? What Uagalele is coming back. Alexander and Washington, is that the 2 guys they're very excited about having back?
Bear Alexander and Amari Washington at the tackles. Big, powerful, experienced defensive tackles, disruptive. And Hampton has talked about all gas and no brakes. We want to turn these guys loose next year. They've got 4 returning seniors on the defensive line, potentially the best defensive line in college football, if these guys up their production a little bit, and I would love to see uh, Tatum Tuioti and Mateo Yu turned loose next year. Mateo had 6.5 sacks, I believe it was, after having
Right.
10.5 the year before. So for his senior year, you'd really like to see Oregon put him in more situations where he can pin his ears back and get after the quarterback, because disruption is what it's all about on the defensive line. And that's why the Hoosiers were so good. They were disruptive. I think they did it more with their linebackers. They had a great group of linebackers, but you've got to create some havoc. You got to get the quarterback out of his rhythm and get in his face.
Who was the guy who had the 2? What do you have? 2 interceptions against Texas Tech? What was that kid that came in and had a phenomenal?
Brandon Finney, a redshirt
Yes.
freshman last season, one of the best cover guys in college football. Another guy who's a 5:30 a.m. to the to the facility type of guy, very much a student of the game, sticky cover guy. Had one of the best coverage grades in all of college football yet last year as a redshirt freshman. So he is an anchor in the secondary. And they got Coy Parrish from Minnesota to play safety
Yes.
and replace Thieneman. Very athletic, very dynamic player, good return man. Uh, he will have to duplicate Thieneman's productivity. I think Thieneman last year had something like 96 tackles, a real clean up on aisle 7 type of defender. To get that from Parrish, he's got to improve his tackling a little bit and get maybe a little bit more studious about film study the way Thieneman was.
Well, and that's the thing. I think Minnesota, go to Oregon. That's like going that's like going from Yale. That's like going from little boys. Now you're playing with the big boys. That's what I feel like if he's coming here, facilities, everything, and landing. No disrespect to Minnesota coach who I'm blanking on, but Dan Lanning's a beast. He's and you got Jet Washington coming. I mean that I'm very curious to see what he's going to do. I am very curious to see what he's going to do. With because he's second on the depth chart and from this scribe here, but I think he's going to come in and be like, hey, I didn't come here to sit on the bench. I came here to play.
Yeah, Jet Washington is one of those potentially really dynamic players. I mean, another football basketball double. He was a point guard, Kobe Bryant's nephew, for goodness sake. His
Yeah.
his his mother was a Division I basketball player, and I think his father had a cup of coffee in the NFL with the Jets. But he's Washington 6'5", played in high school around 205, 210. Uh, he'll develop into a 225-pound safety who can come up in the box, or he's elite in coverage, great instincts, crunching tackler. I think he'll play right away and really challenge to be a possible starter at the star position or at nickel. Just a long athletic guy with dynamic talent. So
And
he's
he
going to be fun to watch to see how quickly he emerges. With the
he put
5-star guys, you never know.
right. Yeah, you never know. But he did play at Bishop Gorman, which is like, I mean, that's better than some college football programs, and that they play all over. They don't play chumps. They play real. They travel. They play top of the top. I mean, he was getting. Listen, he had good coaching. He'll get better coaching. He'll just get coached more. The game will, but I don't think he's going to be over. Some people the speed of the game. I think and he's Kobe's nephew. I think he got exposed to a lot of stuff. I think he got
Yeah,
exposed to a lot of stuff.
he's prepared. He's going to be an elite player in the college level. I really believe it. Yeah, I will say in general, JD, that Dan Lanning's making a big gamble because he chose continuity over track record. Oregon they pay really well. They've got a national profile. They've been competitive, a top 10 team for the last 4 or 5 years. They could have gotten anybody for these coordinator positions. They could have done a national search, but with an eye toward retaining um, some of those seniors like Alexander and Washington and Dante Moore and so forth, they chose continuity and picked two guys in house for the coordinator positions. Hampton was a very effective coordinator at Tulane, had a top 25 defense. So he's got a track record. He's called plays before and done very well. And I expect him to come in and maybe even be a little better than Lepoy at the scheme and play calling parts of the game. I think he's maybe a little sharper as a strategist. Lepoy was a great motivator, a good recruiter, a relentless worker, but he was maybe a little bit limited as the guy who could scheme up your football team. And in some of those big games looked a little bit overmatched, although he had a 23-0 shutout against Texas Tech last year. Now, on the other end, Maringer doesn't have a great track record as an offensive coordinator. Had a stint at Rutgers where they had something like the 122nd offense in college football. Now, they
Oof.
didn't have the talent Oregon has, but he definitely did not elevate that talent as a coordinator then. Now, that was 8 years ago or so, I believe, 2016. So he's had some time to develop and refine his game, and he's had his hands on every aspect of the Oregon offense. But it's a step up for him to be the guy calling the plays, designing the offense, getting the sequencing right, using all these great weapons in the right way, getting Dante Moore. Dante Moore is a wonderful player, had 30 touchdowns last year, but he's got to go to the next level. Maringer's biggest job is to continue Moore's development, to uh, slow get things to slow down for him, improve his progressions, improve his command of reading the blitzes and the pressure and making checks. You know, the way that Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel developed from one year to the next. Dante Moore made incredible progress from starting being thrown in the fire as a true freshman at UCLA, taking a year off to reset his career, and then becoming the starter at Oregon, throwing for 30 touchdowns and 3,500 yards with 10 interceptions. But if the Ducks are serious, and they are, about wanting to be a national championship contender, Dante Moore has got to go one level higher. He's got to be the guy who has complete command of the offense and the offensive line and the protections and checking off and all the little things, going to his second and third read, those things. He's got to show that he came back to Oregon to become a more complete quarterback. Now he's got to accept the challenge to develop in those ways.
Oh, and listen, he betted himself. Now they are getting paid, so it's not like he came back and just is like hanging out. But I kind of respect him for doing that because he could have went pro. I mean, the quarterback situation is dire in the NFL. They're saying Ty Simpson now, and I watched Ty Simpson play. I would take Dante Moore even now over Ty Simpson, and that was like the second guy they said could go right now. And I agree with you. I'm very curious to see that he betted himself. He's coming back. He thought it was best for him to come back. And like you said, he's going to have to improve. Now, is Maringer the guy that's going to help get him to that place? Maybe, I have a feeling the taste of that Indiana game, those guys started training right away. They had to be that was a bad game. He had a terrible game that day. He just never was never clicking, never had a rhythm going at all. I mean, it got ugly fast.
It
So,
did. It did. And credit to the Hoosiers. They're a well coached,
yes.
disciplined, get motivated team, a team on the mission. And that's what the Ducks need to be this season. All these guys made the commitment to come back. Now they have to be the leaders and take their game up a notch. Dante Moore in particular. That'll be one of the fun and interesting stories of spring. The Ducks they have their first practice a week from today on March 12th.
Okay.
And then another one on March 15th. And then they take a break until after spring break and wrap it up with 13 practices in April, the spring game on April 25th. So one of the interesting stories of spring is, what's the mindset and the talk among this group of senior leaders that came back for another year. Moore's a redshirt junior, but it applies to
Right.
him as well. They've got to
Right.
go to the next level. Uyunglele and some of these other guys, they've got to make themselves into first round NFL draft picks. And there's a margin there that requires a Dylan Thieneman level of commitment. You can't just rest on what you've done and who you are. You've got to become an even better player,
So
a guy who makes the plays in the clutch.
I wanted to ask you something. So you watch Mendoza play where he wasn't he had more income, he had more touchdown passes than completions. Then they play Miami, and he really does not have a good game. He really, and that's when you see a guy when he made, and he did make some nice throws, but when he made that run at the end where he ran it in, he was not going to be denied. That shows me the intangibles that I feel more can learn something from that. That even when I'm not on my best day, I still find ways to make plays for us to win. They didn't. They won the game. Who cares? But it was a tight game. Miami came back, which you didn't think would happen. And I think that's something that Moore can learn from because he sees Mendoza. He's like, you know what? They hit him. They got to him. They got pressure on him. He wasn't making throws. He was missing balls that he usually makes. And he had to figure out a way to get things done. And I think that's something more. I mean, listen, I don't know if they watched the tape from last year. I don't know if they throw it away. You have to have amnesia. But I agree with you. Like, how bad do you want it? That's what they say. The upper tier. How much more? Everybody's working out. But the guys who want it, you got to even put in more work. Like, that's like,
And you hit on something really important, I think. A lot of the work is mental. Dante Moore can make throws like nobody's business. He can lay a ball in there just beautifully, on the back shoulder over the defender's chin, just incredible throws. An ability to drive the ball down the field 30, 40 yards, picture perfect the way Justin Herbert or Dan Marino used to. He's got that. But the question is, how resilient can he be when things are going bad? How quickly can he shake off a mistake? Those are the ways in which he's got to maybe notch it up a little.
Yes. Yes. And listen, and like you said, he came back. Like he wanted this. So and the pressure's on, and no one's gonna expect, nobody's gonna say last year's not good enough. Like you said, he's got to take it up a little, and he knows it, but he's betting on himself and respect. I respect the guy who says, like, you know what, there's things I need to work on. And I'm not going to go to a team where they're going to throw me right in and I'm not ready. And he goes, I'm looking at a long-term NFL career as opposed, and he's a younger kid, right? He's not like he's 25 already. He's still a young kid.
I think he turns 21 this spring. So
right. I mean, so that's young. That would have been young in the 21 in the NFL is like, woof. It all and there's a lot of pressure in the NFL. You're playing for paychecks. I mean, he is playing for money here too, but it's a little different. But now the pressure, and Lanny has to feel the pressure next year. Like everybody's back now, and like you said, you stayed in house. You could have went out. You could have done a search. You didn't. You kept continuity. Is that going to work? Is it all? And like you said, he doesn't. He has a good poker face, but there's a lot of pressure on Oregon this year. A lot of people bullseye on him.
The expectations are super high.
Oh,
they're anywhere from 1 to 5 in the way too early preseason polls. And 2 years in a row now, they put together a good season, won 13 games, but at the end, they've gotten blown out. So this is kind of a prove it year for them and for Lanning. He's got to take his game to the next level. He's very good at the fiery emotional speeches, and he's a bright, driven, tremendous recruiter. Does a great job of bringing a team together, but in the big games against the best competition and the best coaching staffs, they've got to find that little extra something that takes them from good to great.
And this is what I wanted to ask you. So look at the Big Ten going. Ohio State's always going to be good, but are they going to be great? Like Miami, really, they housed them in the playoff. They really showed. And saying it had such a good year, he looked off. They started off. They came back at the end, but they really. Michigan, you just don't know. You got a new coach. You just don't know what's going to happen with the quarterback. I mean, he didn't have a great freshman year, and now I'm like, well, is he going to do it? And you got a whole new coaching staff. I love the guy from Utah, but I don't know if he's the right fit for Michigan. Penn State, it's basically he brought all the Iowa State players with him. So I'm like, it's there for the taking. I mean, I think the conference isn't. I'm curious. What do you think about the conference?
It's going to be a fun year in the Big Ten. I mean, there's some great teams and coaches, and as you said, Ohio State's always going to be good, and Julian Sayin and Jeremiah Smith, that's one of the
Yes.
best passing combinations of the last 10 years. I mean, both Sayin is incredibly accurate, and Smith is almost unguardable. I mean, maybe in my mind, the favorite for the Heisman Trophy just because he's so dynamic.
He
Kyle
is.
Whittingham will be an amazing fit anywhere, but particularly at Michigan. With his record at Utah, just taking 3-star kids and competing with
Yep.
the best in the country and, winning conference championships in 10 games year after year. He's a very, very sound coach with a really cohesive outlook as far as how he builds a team. Always has the great offensive lines, the mean, nasty defenses, a good running game, and all the elements are there at Michigan. Underwood, yes, he's got to improve a little bit,
A
but
lot, I think.
But Whittingham will build the game again, build the team around the running game and the defense. And that's what he's so good at creating. And they've got a couple of really good running backs that they'll be in the hunt. USC gets a little better every year.
Yeah.
A lot of people down there are saying they're back. I don't believe it until they
No.
do it. But Oregon's got a really pivotal game in the Coliseum on September 26th against the
Early.
Trojans. Yeah,
Okay, that's
Jade
early.
Maeva is back. He'll need a couple new receivers, but they've recruited really well, poured a lot of money into that team. It'll be interesting to see if they can take that next step. Iowa's Iowa plays everybody tough.
They do. They play
They
everybody.
they lost to Oregon 18-16 on a drive late in the fourth quarter. They lost to Indiana 20-15 on a drive late in the fourth quarter. So that close, they're quarterback away from, they're always sound in the trenches, always tough. They always have, these overachieving guys like Caden Wetjen, or he's in the NFL now, but they always have that type of guy, just hard nosed farm boy who turns out to be a really tough player. They always have 3 or 4 of those guys. So I don't know what they have at quarterback this year, but they're always a quarterback away. I think Matt Campbell will be very successful at Penn State, and over time will rebuild that program. He's a really sound coach. And as you said, he brought over the nucleus of a really good team from Iowa State. So there's depth in the conference. The top half of this conference, I hate to say it, but even Washington could be a 9-10 win team.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Oh, and
we'll
the kid
see.
came back. Remember the kid he wanted to transfer out during
Damon
the
Williams,
player.
yeah.
Yeah, Jesus.
What a
Yeah.
mess that was.
Oh,
I don't really have a lot of faith in Jed Fish. I think he's a little bit mediocre, and the way he handled the Williams situation, I don't really see him as this driven, uh, focused type of guy the way Ryan Day or Dan Lanning are. He's not, or Kurt Signetti. He's not in that category as a coach, in
no.
my opinion. My
No.
opinion.
Well, he was at Arizona. They had a great year, and he used it to get another job. And I don't like coaches like that. That's why I'm not a fan of Ole Miss's coach Kiffin.
Lane Kiffin.
I always feel Lane Kiffin's looking. He's always looking for the next job. He's always. I mean, Ole Miss. He could have been a god there, and he just leaves. I'm just like, dude, you had a team there, and he's going. And I am hoping that LSU is a terrible year. And PJ Fleck was the name I was blanking on. But
Yeah.
I am definitely not rooting. But that's what I feel like. I'm not rooting for LSU this year. But I feel like Oregon has. That's what he said. The line, but he has all the weapons. Everybody has sprinter speed. Anybody could break one in that whole goddamn offense.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it makes you kind of drool at the mouth. You got the defense gets to the quarterback. They have a chance to win it this year. I really do. I think they have a very good chance. I don't know. Signetti, it's a different. He's got the kid from TCU coming in as
Yeah.
who is good. And he's got kids coming in. He's got they have gotten some good transfers. and he is driven. But I just don't see him doing it 2 years in a row. I think
it's very tough to repeat, and they had kind of a magical season in the way it came together with great senior leadership on that defense, and Mendoza just playing lights out all season, so
right.
tough and resilient and clutch in the fourth quarter. But it's really hard to repeat. I think Signetti is right now he's the flavor of the month, and everybody's putting him one or two on the best coaches in college football list.
Right.
And
Yeah,
he,
right.
yeah, and he belongs up there. And give him all the credit in the world for turning around a program that had been downtrodden for 40 years, and
Forever.
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 And he makes them national champions in two. He's definitely a guy who's paid his dues and is builds a winning organization. Got a great staff. Their time management and film preparation is phenomenal, and they'll be good. But winning it all is a magic elixir. You got to have the right players, the right mentality on your team, and you got to keep it together for 16 games. The Ducks didn't have particularly good injury luck last year.
No, they
And
did not.
they played all year without Evan Stewart. They lost Jordan Davison in the semifinal. They were really, you know, the, Isaiah World tore his ACL in the Peach Bowl. So all kinds of things. They need maybe a little better injury luck, and they've got to look at maybe they're going too hard on Tuesday and Wednesday. I don't know. Like, nobody gets to go to practice, but when you have all these injuries in practice, you gotta maybe wonder, okay, is our intensity directed toward the right things 100% of the time?
Right.
It's something to watch. If they continue to have bad injury luck, maybe it isn't luck. So we'll see.
Right. Now, I wanted to ask you, so Gage Hurich is going to be redshirt sophomore is going to be your place kicker. What's I don't know anything about him. How
they got a guy from Nevada
Emmett Keaton Emmett?
Yes, he might. That'll be a battle in another battle in spring practice. We won't hear enough about to get specifics, but one of those guys will emerge as the guy. Hurich went to my old high school, so I'm a big fan of his.
Okay.
He's got 53-yard range. Kicked a 56-yarder, I believe it was, in the spring game last year, and another one from 49 or so. So he's got a leg. It'll be interesting to see who does win that. The other guy has a couple of years of starting experience, so that makes him an attractive candidate too. They'll be strong in special teams, and they just hired a guy from the Raiders to be Joe Lorig's assistant on special teams. Special teams were a strength last year. I expect them to continue to be.
Yeah, I saw you signed James Brown and Rip Rowan. Rip Rowan was at the Raiders last. James Brown. James Brown. James Brown.
Yeah, so I was like.
So I saw that and I was like, look at Dale, you're all right today. Dale's on fire today. Yeah, so that's I want to talk football. So last night you got me. I watched Oregon's women's basketball last night, which was only on Peacock. I mean, I'm like, what the hell's going on here? I have to find Peacock. Nobody in the stands. Where do you know where they're playing the Big Ten this year? I was trying to find. Where's the women's tournament?
Gainesbridge Fieldhouse in Indianapolis, Indiana.
So they blew out Purdue last night by 18. Purdue was terrible this year.
Yeah.
And they only have one win against a team that enters the postseason top 25. They beat Maryland back on January 31st, 68-61. So basically, even with Kelly Graves, they're 21-11. Are they guaranteed a spot in March Madness, or do they really have to win another game? How does it look?
Most of the projections I've seen for them place them around an 8 seed. going into the
Oh,
tournament
okay.
would
Okay.
definitely help them to win another game, to get a more favorable draw if they do. The Ducks are team that could get hot in the tournament. They're a lot of fun to watch. They've got a great nucleus of a big three in Katie Fiso, their point guard, Mia Jacobs, a 6'2" Australian forward who's got 3-point range, and Ahis Tute, she's from Luxembourg.
Is that the
She's
one with the hair? Is that the one who dyed her hair? There's one girl who dyed her hair yesterday. I
That's
saw.
Astira Tuhina, I think you're thinking of.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's a tough, gritty reserve point guard off the bench. Good defender, assist girl, provides a little bit of spark off the bench. But those big three, they can all score. And if they get their confidence going and score the way they can, the biggest problem the Ducks have to solve is they're not big. They have one player who's 6'4", uh, Amina. What's Amina's last name? But she comes off the bench. She's not a starter. And on the front line, they're 6'2", 5'11", but they shoot really well and they play together really well. They take a lot of joy in each other, and there's a lot of enthusiasm in that group. They had 5 fourth quarter comebacks this season. A lot of fun to watch. Some good shooting, from 3-point range. So if they get the rhythm going, that they could surprise some people and win at least one more game in the Big Ten tournament and maybe advance the round of 32, the round of 16 in the NCAA tournament. Kelly Graves has been there before and does a great job of bringing a team along. And this group has gotten better and better and played with a lot of heart. Turned their season around with 4 straight wins in January. So I'm optimistic. It'll be fun to see how they do in the rematch against the Terps tonight.
Yeah, I always it always makes me nervous when I see there only be one ranked team, Maryland, and that's who they're playing tonight. I'm always like, Maryland remembers that. It's like bulletin board. We didn't come in, we didn't play hard enough back then, and that's the great thing about the conference tournaments. You never know. I mean, I looked at some of the men's that Central Connecticut in I think the NEC were dominant. They got blown out by a team with like 4 or 5 wins. There's always a team that gets lucky and goes on. It gets hot at the right time. But I'm carried. And then there's the men's team who is Dana Altman's job in jeopardy? He won 25 last year, but this is a bad year. They had a terrible year.
Dana Altman's been the coach at Oregon, I think, for 21 years. And he's earned the right to have a bad season. They got decimated by injuries. They lost, their point guard for the season. Nate Biddle missed a bunch of games. At one point, they had like 4 scholarship players healthy.
Wow.
So it's not. It really isn't Altman's fault. I don't think it's a coaching failure. This team just did not gel and did not have any health. So he's accomplished enough in his career that he's earned a mulligan, and this is that mulligan. I don't think they're going to win. What are they, like 15 and 22? I don't even know.
They're 11 and 19. I don't think they're even going to. I think there's a bridge to get even. I don't think they're going to make the Big Ten tournament. I think they're not. I don't think every team goes to the Big Ten tournament. I think they're going to be knocked out.
I think that's right, and it's a shame, but it just didn't come together this year for them like they'd hoped.
So my girlfriend sent me this from Shane Tuttle. Did you hear about So I was wondering, this kid from Chad Baker Mazzara from USC, and I was like, I heard he was dismissed, and I'm like, well, the guy scores, he's 20 points, they said he falsified his birth certificate. They said he's actually 32 and a father of 4. So he said he was like 25, 26, and they said he was 32, and I was like, well, I guess the cat's out of the bag on that one. I was like, woo.
That's a great story. That'll be a Lifetime movie of the week or something.
Yes,
that's a fun one.
Yes, that's a good. Now, I also, since you cover, you been Oregon baseball? They lost. They'd won 6 in a row against Oregon State. They lost on Tuesday to Oregon State for they're 10-2. Oregon baseball. They open tomorrow. Big Ten play against Purdue, which has to be freezing. It has to be. I mean, this is not baseball weather. Are they predicted? Are they predicted to do well this year?
They'll be strong this year. They've got shortstop Maddox Maloney and second baseman Ryan Cooney. So they got a good nucleus up the middle. Dominic Hellman, the power hitter, is back. They made a couple nice additions in the portal. If they have enough pitching, they could be a really good team. The really fun team in the spring is the women's softball. Man,
right. So
Elon Butler, the transfer from Cal, 2 Grand Slam home runs this week.
Really?
Last night they beat Oregon State 11-3, and Stephanie Miyake had 2 pinch hit home runs to spark that one. And Butler had a grand slam and 6 RBIs. So they've got 2 great pitchers in Sokolsky and Lindsey Grind. And I'll tell you what, version 8 is what Melissa Lombardi calls it. This group is really, really talented, and they play with a lot of heart. It seems to be a theme at Oregon, and they could be fun to watch going forward. They have the James Sanders Classic this weekend. So
where's that? Where's the James Sanders Classic this week?
At you in Oregon. They sponsor it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you also. So Arkansas made a deal with Tyson Foods to get a patch in the jersey. Now I know Oregon's Nike, but is there anything out there in Oregon that they could put a patch on the uniforms to make a little more income, a little more revenue for the program?
That's the next step in college sports. They'll look in a few years. They'll look like NASCAR, right? They got to come up with new revenue streams to pay these players. And as far as a jersey patch at Oregon, it almost like, I don't know, the Jordan Jumpman. I don't know what it's going to be. There isn't really another big industry in Oregon that immediately comes to mind is that Patchworthy, but it just seems like with the Ducks it would be, something Nike related other than the.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought too. That's what I wanted to ask you. Yeah, that's the same thing. I was like, I can't. You got Phil Knight there. What else would you put on there? They were saying that Colorado should have Buffalo Wild Wings on there, because. Which is terrible. I went there. That was some of the worst food I ever ate in my life. It was oh my God, it was disgusting.
I'm not a fan of wings. I've never understood.
Really?
Oh, no,
my God. Really?
I just don't like them. It's mostly skin. There's like a plate of them is about like 1,200, 1,300 calories. There's not really a lot of nutrition in them. Give me a nice chicken breast instead. What's the deal with the wings? I think the concept is it's just there to soak up the beer. I really.
Yeah, my girlfriend likes them, and I always feel like I feel like all I ate was a lot of skin with 2 little slivers of chicken in between. Yeah, and I'm chewing a lot of bone. Yeah, I agree with you. Good. That's a good. Hey, all right. You're good. You're good. You're good. I also saw that Oregon extends an offer. I don't get it to Parker, Alabama corner DB CJ Craig James. He's class of 2028, so he's a sophomore, and I feel like, no offense, but this kid has to stay healthy the next 2 years. So I'm always feel like, he's a sophomore in high school. And I can't get excited about a kid that you're not seeing for 3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it gets a little crazy with the offers and the prediction lists and then the crystal balls. I follow recruiting, but I don't invest in it emotionally until it gets a little closer to signing day. The big news for Oregon in recruiting right now is they're closing in on a commitment from Will Menzel, a quarterback from Chandler High School in Arizona.
And okay.
Yeah, who he has just elevated himself from a 3-star prospect to a 5-star prospect. Now he's the #1 quarterback recruit in the country. completed 70% of his passes in high school last year and led his team to a state championship in the open division. And what really impressed me was the accuracy. Mike Leach always used to say is you can't teach accuracy. A quarterback either has it or he doesn't. And to be, you know, that accurate and making those kind of decisions as a high school junior is really impressive. I like the kid's makeup. Another big developing story is Dante Wright, a 5-star cornerback from Long Beach Poly, committed to Georgia, and Dan Lanning is projected to flip him from the Georgia Bulldogs and steal him from Kirby Smart.
Wow.
Very, very sticky cover guy with good hips. You know, maybe the successor to Brandon Finney. He has some of those same attributes. He's about 6'1", 175 pounds with long arms and good ball skills. So if they were to land those two kids, that really gets their recruiting started in a great direction. There's also a linebacker from Ohio, from Akron, Ohio, named Brayton Feaster. And he is a
Okay.
4-time state champion in age group wrestling. His father is a high school wrestling coach, and the dad is a 20-year career as a pipeliner in West Virginia, and his dad
Whoa.
is built like a house, you know,
Right.
a
A big
massive
dude.
brick of a
Yeah.
man,
A tank.
and his son Braden, he's got a younger brother named Braden. Uh, he was 215 pounds as an eighth grader,
Oh
wrestling
my
in the
God.
yeah,
215 in eighth grade. And
and
we're not
he's
talking right.
right. He's chiseled, JD. I mean, he's got legs like tree trunks. You know, he looks like you look at his film and he looks like a grown man, you know, playing.
What's his name again? I gotta look at. I gotta find him on
Great
Instagram. What's
Brayton Feaster, Feister, and I may be getting the last name wrong in terms of the pronunciation, but
no.
incredible physical specimen. You know, can bench the 225, the NFL bench
Right.
measurement. He can bench that 41 times as a high
Wow.
school junior. You know, that's how hard he works. He had undefeated in wrestling this season, I think, with something like 24 pins and 30 matches. You know, insanely good athlete, two-way player at linebacker and running back, ripped off a 99-yard run this fall. And he had 136 tackles and 13 sacks and ran for 1,000 yards. Just a monster. You know, he's only ranked like number 168, which is high. But you know, if I had a board, you know, that kind of stud linebacker, that the Mike linebacker, you can build a defense around a guy like that, and you couple his physical makeup with his work ethic and intelligence. And man, if there was one kid that I want to see them get for their defense, it would have to be him. And but you can't leave out Wright or Menzel either. Oregon could have just a stellar 2027 class, and it's interesting because you know they had all these seniors stay for this year, so next year's rebuilding, right? They've got to restock.
Well, that's the thing. If Rayola stays, he doesn't want to be in a rebuild. If
True.
Rayola stays, he does. Now, you know who you made me think of with this kid Feaster, Mason Graham, who went 5 last year from Michigan to the Browns. He was an all-state. He was an all-state wrestler, and
Yeah,
that helps a lot of the. You can get. You know how to take people change, use weight. You know, force. You know all that stuff.
leverage,
Leverage,
leverage.
leverage. Yeah, you're better than me. That was a good one. But
No,
that's what I'm
no.
saying. So all the quarterback from Arizona, he's going into his senior year. He'll be playing one more, yeah, senior year. So he's
Yeah.
still going to put up these numbers as a junior. It's amazing. What's the kid's measurables? Like how big is he?
Oh, let's see. Um, I think he's 6'3", 205 ish, somewhere in that range. you know?
Okay.
So he's got to fill out a little bit, but he's got decent size, and these kids are all 2027 kids. And what helps them develop so fast now is they have performance labs and 7-on-7. So these
Right.
guys get all kinds of reps against elite competition, and that they come to college ready to play, much more so than maybe they did 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah, he's I says here he's 5-star, 6'3", 200, dual threat, 38, 15, 33 touchdowns, and he's got a so that was as a junior. He's already visited twice.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah,
yeah,
he's the quarterback that they really targeted. There's another kid in Southern California that they're recruiting, but Mensel's definitely number one priority.
Menzel. That's oof. Even as a name, it sounds like Menzel. That just sounds like it's not a normal name. Quarterbacks have to have good. Listen, I'll tell you that I want to see Raiola because I know he patterns his game after he thinks he's Mahomes Jr. or Mahomes Light. I'm very curious. I really curious to see, a year under in Oregon, learn the whole system and everything, and then go and I'd be very interested because all these guys that are on the team, you got a lot of sophomores, even on the offensive side of the ball, they can't go pro after next year. Yeah, and the way he recruits, I mean, that's he kept Dante Moore, and then Raiola's waiting, just sitting there, and he'll get in a couple games next year, just I guess mop up and stuff.
Yeah,
Good
they
God,
changed the red shirt rule, the red shirt rule.
yeah,
JD, next year they can play up to 9 games as a red shirt.
really,
So,
wow,
he'll definitely get a chance to take some snaps, taking the career reset just like Bo Nix did, just like Dante Moore did or Dylan Gabriel did, to come to Oregon, made a really matured decision. He could have gone somewhere, got a big NFL or NIL payday,
right,
but
right.
instead he decided to come and develop himself, take a year to reset, and another really mature decision by a guy thinking long term rather than the immediate payday.
Yeah, so you get Boise State now. Now you play Oklahoma State on the road, and everybody went with the North Texas coach. Brought his quarterback with him. This is not going to be the same Oklahoma State team as last year. I mean, I think they'll put up a lot of points. Yeah, so you basically have Boise State, Oklahoma State, Portland State, and then it's USC. Then you get UCLA at home, which they got the new coach from James Madison.
Yeah.
Uh, and then Nebraska. You see, I think Nebraska is going to take a step down. I think Matt Rule is not for long in Nebraska. I think he had his chance with Raiola. They didn't do anything. And now I think he's in trouble. And Illinois always scares me. Illinois just every year, he just has those guys playing good football.
Brett Bielema does a great job, and that
Yes.
game is in Champaign. So
Yes.
that's a sneaky tough game. There are
And
no
no, you got, and then you got the Ohio State away on a Saturday, November. Weather's going to be a factor. You get Michigan at home. And the Michigan State. Now they got the former Northwestern coach. So,
Fitzgerald.
but Fitzgerald, but they got to rebuild the whole team. I mean, he's
Yeah.
basically rebuilding the whole team. And then Washington always is that, that's always that rivalry game. So now no more Oregon State, huh? Because Oregon State's in the Pac-12. That's ridiculous.
They will
That's
not be able to renew that rivalry for 2 more years, but they're working on getting something together going forward. I think what obviously it gets complicated because teams are scheduled 2 or 3 years out, but I think they should have dropped the Portland State game and
yes.
penciled in, pay Portland's Penn's Portland State's got a new coach this year. They would have gladly accepted the buyout and the money for their program, stepped aside because in a game like that, it's strictly a paycheck game for the
Yes.
Division II school. They're trying to keep their players healthy for their season and collect the check. So they would have gladly accepted a buyout. I don't know who Oregon State has lined up for that third week, but it would have been really great to maybe move it to week 0. and have the teams play
Yes,
them.
yes,
This is a
yes.
rivalry that's been played since the 1890s, for goodness sakes. One of the longest in West Coast college football. It's really a shame to see it go the other way. That in-state. Uh, I it would have been neat to see them play at week 0. Another fun thing is Deion Sanders floated this idea of playing a competitive game in the spring. Now the NCAA nixed it, but I think that
It's
would
a
be intriguing. That would really add some juice to spring training to play Oregon State in the spring.
so,
Non-counting
but it
game.
non-counting game, but just play a game because I agree. I think that's when you find out. If you have your guys hitting each other in a spring game, I don't know how you judge in a way, but I feel if you play it in a game condition, game speed, players get in. I know everybody's concerned about players getting injured, but you'll find a lot about your team right then and there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
But
see? Did you see Makai Lemon during the drills at the combine from USC where they said go 3/4 speed and he just jogged like almost like he wants a drop because I guess he was afraid. I don't know what was going on in his head. There was a rumor that he pissed on a Jets during the interview. And this guy I looked it up. I go, this guy made this stuff up. But they said his interviews went terrible. He wasn't even. Why is he at the combine then? And I'm like, guys, this is a job interview. This is like your livelihood. And I was shocked because he played very well against Oregon in the game that you guys beat. And he was electric. So I was kind of surprised when I saw that. I was like, well, what's going on here? So yeah.
yeah, he put together some great tape this year. He's a really dynamic receiving talent, but it's strange that he took that approach to the
Yeah.
combine, with
Yeah.
so much on the line and teams making $1 million evaluations, to just basically say, I don't care. And maybe it was calculated. Maybe he wants to move down to a better organization where, he can compete for a Super Bowl and have a top quality quarterback. But I don't know.
Yeah.
I always
I
hate to
was
see an athlete choose not to compete and not to present himself with integrity. I don't understand that.
and your whole career is about competing. And I just feel like, and how many guys would love to that didn't go to the combine, which they said to guys, listen, you might not get invited to the combine, but don't take it that's in your career. Guys make it. There's guys who go to like you said, 5-star. You don't know. You don't know how they're gonna be. 5 stars they don't always pan out. Then there's guys that, Thiedemann comes and you're like, okay, and then he turns his game, like takes it to another level when he gets to Oregon. That's what you just don't know what's inside, how the guy's wired. So,
Yeah,
I guess we're gonna see. So I don't know.
those are the guys that I tend to root for.
Me
The
too.
ones the
Yeah.
ones who are always competing, always looking to get better, and think about how they present themselves. So many wide receivers turn out to be divas and
Right.
problems and
Oh,
distractions, and
yeah.
he's sort of putting himself in that category with this behavior at the combine. Now, maybe it'll turn out to be a really focused and great,
Right.
great performer. He definitely was in college, but
Right.
yeah, I hate to see a guy take that approach.
I agree. So I have some trivia for you if you'd like to do a couple.
All
It's all
right, let's
Oregon.
go for it.
Who's the only Heisman Trophy winner from Oregon?
Oh, Marcus Mariota, the fly in Hawaii.
What was the team nickname before they were the Ducks? Do you know the team nickname?
The Webfoots.
I knew I was going to get. Okay. What was the name of the famous 1994 play that beat Washington?
Heward, got to go back to throw the ball. Kenny Wheaton. Did he call it the pick?
You're on fire today. Okay. What is the name of Oregon's mascot?
Well, okay, this is a point of contention. A lot of people get this wrong, but the name of the Oregon's mascot is, ironically, the duck.
But what is he also referred to?
Some people call him Puddles, but that's actually incorrect.
It is incorrect?
Yes, Puddles was a live mascot they had in the 30s and 40s, a duck that they used to lead around on a string. But The duck has always been the duck. On his Twitter bio, he's the duck. At the
Okay.
Oregon website, he's the duck. And or the Oregon duck, and that it's part of that ironic, thumb your nose sort of attitude that the Oregon mascot has. That's Dan Fouts calls him the duck when he used to do telecasts,
Oh,
and
he
that
did.
that
He did.
yes, that's his real name. Although a lot of younger fans, a lot of newbies use the name Puddles, but that's actually the name is actually from a different time and a different mascot.
Okay. What does the mascot do after every touchdown?
Push ups.
Yeah, I would think. Lately, he's been doing he or she has been doing a lot of push-ups.
Oh, yeah.
One more question because you are destroying me today. What is the trophy's name in the rivalry game against Oregon State? What is the trophy called?
It's funny about that trophy because it's never really completely taken hold. I mean, it's there, and it's been resurrected a few times. It's been stuffed in a closet for years at a time and lost. But it's called the Platypus Trophy. The idea being that it's half duck and half beaver. Sort of a throwback animal. But it's never really gained the status of any of those iconic, the old oaken bucket, or any of those iconic trophies they play for around the country. It's just, yeah,
You
sort of.
destroyed me. You got them. You got them all today. Yeah, wasn't even close. You were in fuego.
Yes, yeah. What have I won? Trip to Cancun, what?
Yes, yes. Well, you already went to. I love that you were going to do a show when you were in Club Med. I'm like, Dale, don't you want to just relax? No, no, maybe we'll do it. And I was like, no, he's not going to do it. But you did. You posted stuff. You were posting stuff in Cancun, right? Where were you in? Where were you? You were Cancun.
Yeah, we were at Club Med in Cancun. Is our second trip to Cancun. Had a great time. White sand, blue water, just hanging out
Oh,
together, having a
uh-huh.
drink in the afternoon. Long walks on the beach. We played pickleball. We went sailing, but mostly we just hung out. My wife is my favorite person in the world. We were very lucky. We met. She was 58. I was 64 when we met, and to find love late in life and have it be so sweet and so drama free and so just wonderful is an incredible blessing. I'm the luckiest man in the world.
Where did you two meet? Was it a dating site or was it
Yeah, online.
really?
And the funny part about it, JD, is we lived a half a mile apart. We lived on the same road. We lived on River Road in Gladstone, a half mile apart. Had never met at the grocery store or anything like that.
Really?
Exchanged a couple of messages on Facebook, and we were both a little tired of the whole internet dating scene by then.
Okay.
And
Right.
so, well, so Sharon just said, let's just meet, see if there's any chemistry or conversation or connection. And we had a wonderful first date. We met at a nice Italian restaurant, had some bruschetta and a glass of wine, and we were having such a good conversation that she said, well, I'm going to go get my dog. Would you go with me to take my dog for a walk? And I knew right then it was a package deal. If Choya
Oh,
didn't
right.
like me, I was out.
Right.
Right.
Oof.
Well, we had a great walk along the river where the Clackamas and Willamette rivers meet, and it was just magical, And we've been together ever since. Uh, Dated for 2 years, got married. It'll be 5 years ago in August. Got married in McKenna Cove in Maui. It was
Really? Oh,
just
wow.
yeah,
I've been to Maui. It's cool. Oh, Maui's awesome.
just a
Yeah.
lovely, magical experience with the sun setting behind us, and man. In fact, if there's a YouTube video, if you Google search Bliss family wedding, there's a YouTube video of our
Oh,
our
I'm
wedding
okay.
day.
I'm looking for. I'm gonna find it. Wait.
So
So
it's kind of fun.
wow.
It's a great story, and I yeah, we were just lucky, we found our person, and we met late enough in life that we'll be newlyweds until we're 80. So that's pretty great.
That's good. Now, had you been married before, Dale? Had you been married before?
Yeah, I've been married before. With far,
Yeah.
yeah, with far less success. I mean, I, I don't know. Maybe I was sort of an old-fashioned guy.
Right.
Every time I fell in love, I got married. So I have, yeah, I don't even want to say how many previous marriages I've had, but
That's all right. You found the right one now. That's all
yeah,
right.
I
Yeah.
got really, really lucky, and we just get along. It's just a real simple, joyous life.
Yeah. I was married once, engaged two other times, and now she doesn't want to get married. She goes, "We're living together. We're married." I said, "I'll sign a prenup." She goes, she just says it's fine. So
Yeah.
it's funny. Our seventh anniversary, April 4th at the Garden. The PWHL, the Women's Hockey League, is playing there. And months ago we got tickets, and now it's going to be sold out. It's going to be they said the biggest attended women's hockey game ever. So we're going to
Wow.
that game on our anniversary. It's a Saturday night, April 4th at Madison Square Garden. So, and we met at a 50th birthday party that I did not want to go to in my neighborhood. My mother goes, "Go down there," because I moved back home after a bad relationship, and my mother goes, "Go." I go, "I don't want to go." She goes, "Go to the party," and I ended up meeting, and the rest is history. So, oh, and you know what? Next year, Michigan plays Texas at Texas, and my cousin has season tickets, so we're going to go to the game next year at Texas. So I have to wear Michigan stuff, I guess, So
Okay, is
if I
your
want to,
girl going too?
oh yeah, she wants to go. She wants to
I,
go.
I love
So,
that she's such a sports person. You could not
oh,
marry to anyone
right.
who isn't.
Now,
Yeah,
is your wife a sports fan? Well, yeah, she likes
I,
Oregon. Well,
I've won her over. We're going to the spring game this year,
oh, that's what I
and
was going to ask you. You
you
are going
know,
to go.
yeah, and it helps that writing about the team. It helps that I have stories. That I know a little
Yes,
bit of background because she relates to the stories. She develops
yes,
favorite players, and yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, you're a good storyteller. You're fantastic. That's why I hadn't had you on, and I was like, I was saying, I should get Dale back on, and I'm like, I know it's not football season, but I know Dale will have stuff to talk about, and that's why we got it. I'm like, I got to keep you going. So I guess every couple, I guess we could talk, but I would love to talk to you definitely after the spring game, and yeah, because you're gonna now, and they draw right. They get at least 20, 30,000,
40.
40. That's
Yeah.
crazy.
And it's neat, JD. You got to come out some year for it. You and your girl. We'll have lunch at Tracktown Pizza and walk the river walk over to the stadium. And but the spring game is a salute to the troops. So
Okay,
they have a halftime and a post game uh, recognition with local servicemen, and it's also a fundraiser for the Eugene Food Bank, the Lane County Food Bank. So
oh
uh,
nice.
admission is free, and fans are encouraged to bring 2 cans of high quality, non perishable food. So they draw 40,000 fans. It's just a big party. And
Okay,
invariably, the weather's pretty nice, and it's a sunny day in the spring in Eugene, and a big recruiting event. And, they just make it into a great, fun event. And yeah, every year they draw the most fans on the West Coast for a spring game.
that's
Close to
awesome.
40,000, close to filling the stadium, and it's a great atmosphere. They'll have a concert afterwards, and
Oh
it's just
yeah.
fun. Oh
Okay.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because we went to the Ranger game Monday. So the Rangers are losing 4-0 after 2. Now, if they're losing, she's got it's time to go. I said, I kind of want to stay. I goes, okay. And she goes, okay. They score 4 goals in the third period to tie it.
Wow.
Yeah. And I high-fived her. She goes, I think you broke my hand. And I'm high-fiving everybody around me. I'm going crazy. Overtime, goal scores, and in hockey, when they score, the whole place clears out. It was like seconds. Goal and boom. But we went from the high to the low. So it was funny. We're Monday night. So yeah. So they're on tonight. They're playing terrible. Doesn't matter. She watches the game. That's what we watch tonight. That's what we
Awesome.
watch. Yeah.
Awesome.
So I love the stories. I know you have to. It's 3:30, but you look like you take a nap before work?
Yeah, I really this night shift thing has been difficult for me working overnight. I haven't really figured it out. Some
Yeah.
Sometimes I come home and go right to bed. This morning we worked out after my shift. Then I went to the store and bought some groceries. So it's like 9 o'clock before I go to sleep. I sleep till 1:30 and get up to do the show with you. Yeah, so yeah, I'll probably take another nap. I've learned to sleep fast.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say to you. You got to sleep fast because you hit that lull in the middle of the night too, where it's if there's no one there. I used to play. I worked in a gym. I play opera music, and I was jumping over benches. Someone came in, and I was like, oh, because nobody's in there. Is
That'd
anybody
be a
come in
good
middle of the night?
uh,
Is there anybody?
yeah, there's some regulars, and about it's really surprising. My hat's off to them, JD. There are people who come in at 4 a.m. in the morning to work out every single day, and by 5, there's a really good crowd. And I've got
Right.
a long checklist of cleaning things I do. I scrub the showers and the toilets and all this stuff. So I'm plenty busy. But yeah, there's a dedicated group of people who come throughout the night, and we have
Wow.
tanning and massage beds and things like that. So
Oh, okay.
there's plenty of things for them to do. And I try to get to know everybody, say hello, and try to create an atmosphere where they feel welcome. So I don't know.
You're the man. Well, go get some rest. We only did an hour and a half today, so you were slow today. Today was a slow day for you.
Hey, it was fun. I had a great time. Anytime you want to do
Always.
the show, I'd
You
love
just
to
tell
do it.
me. You just tell
Okay.
me when you want to do the show.
All right. We'll
Anytime.
reach out.
All
Well,
right.
enjoy the hockey game. We'll talk to you
Yeah.
later.
Talk to you later. Have a great night. All right.
Thank you.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye bye.